What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Beethoven. And we're returning for the third movement in his Ninth Symphony, Opus 125. I wanted to give thanks to a couple folks who sent me things recently. Shell sent me this t-shirt related to Aha. Michaela sent me this Death Note mug. You are both appreciated, as well as all the folks who sent me things. Polly, Graham, Kim, Amy, a number of folks. Ultimately, I appreciate the material support that people over on Patreon give me, the people sending me music in digital form, and again, people who mail me things in physical media, so you are all very much appreciated. In any case, as we return to the symphony, I have to say the third movement is probably the least famous of the four movements. I think it's the one that I don't remember quite as well as the other four. I certainly recall its overall atmosphere. It is slow and sweet and smooth, and indeed the performance designation is Adagio Molto e Cantabile, and that essentially means like very slow and as if you're singing. And indeed, shout out to the fans of Notame Cantabile, which is originally a manga, then it was made into an anime and a live action show. The live action version is the one I'm familiar with. It's all about classical music. But yes, cantabile is to play your instrument as if you were singing, so sort of light and a bit more free than some of the other performance directions. So yeah, again, I don't remember this movement as well as the first movement, the second movement, or the fourth movement, but I do know it is the slower and sweeter part of the symphony compared to the epic finale of the fourth movement, or the fire and thunder of the second movement, as well as the intensity of the first movement as well. So yeah, let's hear it. This is the Vienna Philharmonic, conducted by Karl Bohm, performing the third movement of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which again is Adagio Molto e Cantabile. the blending of the bowed and plucked strings. enjoyable. So it was a little longer than I remembered, and that's not a criticism. It really does bridge the second and fourth movements well, meaning after the fireball of the second movement, I think you need something that is smooth and more placid, and something which prepares you or gives you a bit of a respite before the monumental and triumphant fourth movement. So I think it is a nice, again, sort of gap or break from the intensity of the second movement between that and the intensity of the fourth movement. I do think it is very lyrical, it is very smooth and flowing. Obviously there's a couple moments where it gets a bit more forte, and in fact, like the moment it came back around a couple times and it had those like power, it was like timpani with the violins in particular. Those moments reminded me of like a Haydn symphony, I think. I can't like place which one it is, but there was something about that that reminded me of like, oh, there's something I've heard from Haydn that's sort of like this. Nevertheless, again, it is very smooth, flowing, very calm and measured. It does have a very sung-like quality to parts of it, especially the strings. As I mentioned during it, I like the blending of the, traditionally bowed strings and the violins with those plucked string sounds. I think that's a nice mix. And yeah, as I said, I didn't remember the journey of this one as well as any of the other movements. In particular, the second, I said I probably listened to that movement more than any other, even if the fourth, I think, is for a lot of people the real standout part of the symphony. But I think this movement is essential. I think it cleanses the palate from the second movement, and again, prepares you or braces you for the fourth one that's still coming. So yeah, it's very cool. I'm sure there's probably people out there who do think this is the best movement. It's one of the things I've discovered going through all sorts of music, but especially classical music. You take someone as famous as Beethoven, who has these big celebrated pieces. There are people out there who think every one of his symphonies, like individually, is the best one, meaning there's people who love the Eroica most, there's people who love the fifth the most, there's people who love his first one the most, the seventh the most, I'm in that category, the ninth, like there's just all sorts of variety of opinion when it comes to someone as prolific and as mastered, if you will, as Beethoven, and it's the same for all the other famous composers. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to find that there are a great many people who think this is maybe the best movement in the bunch. But yeah, regardless of it being a more supportive movement for me, I do think it is a very beautiful piece, very elegant. Do let me know what you think. Shout out once again to all the folks who shared. I realized as I was listening, there's some people that I didn't mention in either video I did tonight. Yvonne has sent me things, Doug has sent me things, Darren has sent me things, Joseph has sent me things. There's all sorts of people who've contributed in a material sense to the channel. So to all of you, I thank you greatly. To all the folks who sent me digital music, I thank you greatly. To all the patrons, or to people who've made one-off individual donations through PayPal, you are all greatly appreciated. Let me know what you think of this movement, and the next time I come back, we'll be back for the big, grand, and triumphant fourth movement, with, not both, choral elements, which, the Ode to Joy part, I think is maybe the most famous for people who, aren't familiar with the entire symphony. So I'll look forward to that. Let me know what you think of this, and I will see you then. Peace.